my first 15 years trying to get out of the woods because I thought it was horrible. And I spent the next 20 years trying to get back. The truth of the matter is we need to be well-rounded individuals like our forefathers were.
Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Mountain Readiness Mondays Live. I'm your host, T. Man, it's been a little chilly out today, guys. I'm not going to lie. But hey, thanks to everybody here in the chat. Appreciate you guys joining us tonight. And of course, we're going to be talking about everything homesteading, survival, preparedness, and everything in between. Who do we have in the house tonight? We've got Sandra Davis. We've got Burke Spring, Mrs. Teresa, the lovely Kay Love, Christine, just a whole list. Remember, guys, like, share, and subscribe. If you don't mind, hit that like button so we can go ahead and start catching some more strikes on YouTube, because that's how we roll. If you don't have a couple strikes, then you ain't doing it right. I'm telling you, you got to have a couple strikes now and again. But look, guys, thanks to Mr. Russ back there behind the curtain, the Russ of Oz. And Russ is, of course, telling me to speak up tonight. So I'm not sure what's going on. You would think this awesome mic would do a better job. Maybe it's an operator error. That could be it. A loose nut behind the wheel. That's the problem. We've got a great show tonight. This episode is brought to you by our friends over at Soil Saviors. Remember, if you want nutrient-dense food, you have got to have nutrient-dense soil. Make sure to jump over there and get yourself one of those 5-acre, 10-acre, or 20-acre kits. We don't just talk about it, we use them, guys. This stuff is phenomenal. You've seen pictures of our yard out front here. Even with down into the teens, multiple days, even weeks now, we've been back and forth. The front yard looks like the rolling hills of Ireland. I mean, it's just that green. So make sure to check out our guys over there at Soil Saviors and get yourself some of those. Tonight's guest, pull that up, Russ, if you would, for tonight's guest, her QR code. This is for Healthy Technologies. You can use promo code MR10. MR10. You guys scan that, go to Healthy Technologies. We'll be talking about some of the amazing products that our guest tonight has right here. On the website. We'll be going over some of these, some game-changing stuff, especially if you're in the preparedness movement, because water being one of those things that is super important. In fact, one of the most important things that you could possibly have. And looky there, it's we've got our friend Alan K. Alan K is in. I'm just going to throw it up here. What beard oil are you using? None today, Alan. That's why it's all fuzzy. But I appreciate you noticing, brother. Appreciate you noticing. And thanks for tuning in. Patrick 7. Guys, if you have questions also for our guest tonight, we are going to use #healthy. #healthy for questions tonight for our guest. And get those questions ready. This is going to be a great show. So let's jump into it. Our guest tonight is Anna Khait. She is the owner and founder of Healthy Technologies, a professional poker player at one time in her previous life, as well as actress. She has been a contestant on the survival show. She was also on the Reawaken America tour with Clay Clark and Eric Trump. She's done it all. So let's bring out our guest right now, Mrs. Anna Khait.
Hey, everyone. Hey, Bob. Thank you for having me. Hey.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on with us, Anna. It's the things reading this off, it's like, how did you fit all this in such a short period of time?
I know. And also was an undercover investigator with Project Veritas for a year back in 2017. I mean, I know my parents are like, I remember when they asked me, like, can you get a real job? When are you going to be normal? And I said, Mom and Dad, I don't know if you've noticed, but I've never been normal. I love being abnormal. I love doing things that, would excite me. And I love game theory. And that's why I got so into poker, and I got into so much into Survivor, which was my favorite show growing up. So I really wanted to be a professional poker player and be on the show Survivor. And I remember my high school friends were like, Anna, that's never going to happen. Like, what are you even doing? And I was the first female professional poker player on Survivor, back in 2016. But it's been a full life. It's been a blessed life. And then I had an encounter with Jesus, and he changed my life, changed my passions and desires. And, and it was just going back to nature, because Survivor really changed me, being out there in the woods. And I know I love your intro, because you said, it took you like many years to get out of the woods, and now you want to go back into the woods. Well, I had a very similar kind of encounter where I was born in Russia during communism, and my family brought me here to America when I was 4. I grew up in the city, I grew up in New York City, but I've always inside my soul was striving to go back to nature. I want to have a farm. I want to have animals again. I want to have all that. And I want to have, everything clean. So having gone on the show Survivor and living out in the wild, I want to say in the wild, it wasn't like the wild with like bears and everything. It was out on the beach. Okay, we're living on the beach. We were living in the woods. We built our shelter. We made our own fire. It was very much a real reality show. I mean, there's lots of fake things out there, 50% real, 50% scripted. Ours was not scripted. It was very much real. We had to find our own food. We had to catch our own food. If you didn't find food, you were starving at night. You hear your belly going, Mrr. You have to get your own water. You have to boil your water. We were boiling our water in these iron, the iron skillets. And gosh, our water was black by the time you boiled your water. I mean, it was disgusting. We would eat snails, we would eat whatever we can find and whatever we can cook. But so having that experience and really going back to nature really changed my perspective when I got back to the city. And that was where kind of my life changed. I had an encounter with Jesus, and he told me, he said, I'm going to start showing you my technologies around the world that are going to help humanity. And I thought, I don't know anything about technologies. You got the wrong person. Like, no. But funny enough, and we can get into it. But yeah, I was going to go to medical school. That was always the trajectory of my life. I was a bio major and decided to forego medical school to be a professional poker player, which my parents were not very thrilled about.
How does that even happen? How does that? I mean, that's question number one for me. How do you go from medical school to professional poker player? I mean, that's quite the complete different opposite direction.
Yeah, I grew up, I had a very, great childhood. I played a lot of sports growing up. And so I was very much into what can I play on the weekends and in summers, And so I ended up finding, having been in Brooklyn, growing up in Coney Island. So there was handball. There was a game called handball. So I played that all the time, all day, every day, especially during summer. And some of my friends one day just invited me. I was 16 years old. They said, hey, why don't you come play some poker with us? I'm like, what's poker? So I played with them, and I thought, this is an interesting game. Didn't really think anything of it. But then when I got home, I was thinking like a few days later, I'm like, what is this poker game? So I looked it up, poker and Texas Hold'em. And then these videos popped up on YouTube of Daniel Negreanu and all these other professional poker players playing the game and talking about the strategy behind it. And I thought, that's interesting. There's a strategy behind card games. So I started digging into it, ordered books, and caught the bug, you can call it. And it was always a hobby for me. And it actually was a very lucrative hobby. So it supported me through high school, through college. I was able to buy my books, pay for school. I had other jobs. I was a waitress. I was working a real estate, as a real estate agent. But it was always the most lucrative. And one day I wanted to give it a go just to try it professionally. So when I graduated college with a biology degree, I thought, okay, well, let me give a year just to see what happens in the poker world. Maybe this can turn into like a career, And I know a lot of people in the poker world, good friends of mine who make millions of dollars a year. And so I thought, why not give it a go? And, being a woman in the game, there was a lot of attention. So they were, of course, rooting me on, hoping that I won. And I did that for a few years, and it was fun. And then I got, then I did the show Survivor, and then I got back home, and my interest changed by God's grace. Yeah.
Well, and you threw in a whole bunch of other stuff there. So you were going to school while you were playing poker, and then you had waitressing. I mean, you had a whole. How many jobs did we have all at once? It sounds like multiple, like 3,
Multiple.
4, 5.
Like 3 jobs. I mean, yeah. Well, coming from Russia, my parents taught me nothing's going to be handed to you. You need to work hard. And so I remember I was giving out flyers at the age of 10 to buy my friends Christmas presents for, in junior high school. And my dad said, listen, I'm going to provide a roof over your head, food, but I'll give you money here and there for the movies once in a while. But if you want to go shopping, if you want to go to the movies, you need to work. I'm like, I'm 10. He's like, well, you can find something. And so I did. I found a little job where I can give out flyers for $5 an hour. And I'm so grateful for that, because that really grew work ethic. And I appreciate my dad for saying that. So yeah, I could just, whatever I could do, I wanted to keep myself busy. But again, going back to playing a game for a living, that's why I was so attracted to and so drawn to Survivor, because it's not just a reality TV show where you're dealing with personalities and you're reading people and there's psychology involved, but it's a mental game. It's a strategy game. And I thought, that was part of my audition tape, was that, hey, I play a game for a living, and going on the show, I won't announce that. I will just, I'm a waitress on the show, I told everyone there, I'm like, I going to school and that's it, and nothing to my life. And so I didn't share that. I shared that with one person who was my strongest ally on the show. And she shared with me that she was 18 and she was the youngest contestant ever on Survivor. And so we had each other's secret and we built an alliance, me and Julia. And it was fun. It was like an amazing, amazing time, and super life-changing.
That it feels like you just threw 50 years of living out there is what it sounded like. That sounded like,
I know,
and we know that's not the case, but that's a lot. And Patrick 7, no, Patrick, I am not going to talk about silver tonight because I'm trying not to get another hit. We had Jeff Adams on and we talked too much about silver and got myself a strike. So we're gonna. Oh yeah. Well, if you don't have a little dirt on you, man, nobody can.
Oh yeah. No, this is my second YouTube channel. I mean, I got taken off completely. It's a badge of honor. Yeah.
It happens. Yeah. With your parents coming from Russia, I have a good friend of mine who is first generation Russian as well. In fact, he was not even allowed to speak English within the house, and he could not speak Russian outside of the house. And, seeing his upbringing and knowing him for quite a few years, I mean, Survivor was your show that you decided that you wanted to be a part of. But what was life like as a child with your parents with that type of background and mindset? I mean, was there a lot of I know my father is save every single last thing. You do not waste anything. I mean, was it the same for you?
Same thing for me. My mom is Russian and my dad is Jewish, right? So I grew up in a communist, Jewish household where everything was super strategic. Every penny was accounted for. And I'll share this with you. I mean, my mom remembers standing in these bread lines, the bread lines that Bernie Sanders talks about is a good thing. Well, my mom waited on those out in that line for hours, sometimes in the dead of winter in Russia, 8 hours, 9 hours online, freezing cold, would get to the end of the line and there's no bread left. There's no rice left, right? There's nothing to give. And she would come home empty handed. I mean, my sister told me a story when she was younger. She remembers, she saw like a little bit of an apple in the garbage and she took it. So, I mean, we were fending for ourselves in Russia. We were living in a little tiny apartment. It's kind of like a dormitory where you share bathroom with your neighbor. And, you have like one bathroom on the floor and all your neighbors share one bathroom. So, and that's how it was in Russia. So having my parents grow up in that kind of, life and communism where everything is just not fun and not fair and really bad. And so when we came to America, we were so blessed. My mom remembers when my sister, when we just moved here, my parents were able to stock up the fridge, and we've never been able to do that in Russia. So they stocked up the fridge, and she remembers my sister clearly saying, this is one of her favorite memories. My sister was like 7 or 8, and she said, Mom, can I take the banana that's in the fridge? Because we would always ask, can we take this? Can we take that? If it was an apple, we would share it with the 4 of us. We wouldn't, you don't just take something from the fridge. You ask before you take anything. And my mom responded to her and said, sweetheart, she was crying and saying, sweetheart, in America, you don't have to ask me anymore. Whatever you want, you take. And when we got to America, having been an immigrant and an immigrant family, my dad, I asked my dad, I'm like, Dad, were we on food stamps? Were we on welfare? Like, what did we do? He goes, we were never on welfare because we were staying with family, our family with my uncle, my dad, actually my great uncle, we were staying with them in their apartment until my dad was able to kind of have better English and go and get a job. But we were on food stamps for 6 months. And they gave us a little bit each month, and we were able to buy food. But as soon as my dad got a job that was paying him, he got off the food stamps. He remembers, actually, he told me, he said, people would knock on the door, and a lot of times they were Democrats that were canvassing, and they knew this was an immigrant community, and they would try to get you registered Democrat, and they try to tell you to vote Democrat. And so my dad, I asked him, a few years ago, I'm like, wait, so tell me about that. He goes, yeah, I asked them about their policies, and they went through it. And he told himself, he said, this is socialism. This is what we just ran away from. We're not Democrats. We're Republicans. So he said, we just food stamps for 6 months, but as soon as we got on our feet, we got off of it. So it's great to have programs to help immigrants and help people that maybe are having a bad time, maybe unemployment for 6 months or, however many, 3, 4, 5 months till they get back on their feet. But that's not something you're supposed to sit on. That's not something that you suck out of the life out of a country on their tax dollars. So thankfully, my parents were Republicans way before I woke up to it, and I became a conservative myself. So, but it took many years for me to kind of wait. I wasn't into politics until after, until 2015, until President Trump went down the escalator. Yeah.
Right. It is crazy. It is crazy in this day and age that, federal assistance has become a complete lifestyle now. People living off this system, what was it just here a while back? They were talking about not being able to, reload all the SNAP cards, and everybody's losing their minds and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. And, it amazes me that, like, your parents from another country, they understood the concept of hard work and that sometimes you need some help, but at the point that you get to where you need to be, you shut that down and you stand on your own 2 feet. That's an awesome story. And I wish more people in this country would do the same. And I don't think we would have the issues that we currently have.
Yeah. And assimilate to this country and respect this nation and follow the laws. And we love the fact that my dad carries, he's in New York. He's got a Second Amendment. I have my Second Amendment. I'm very honored to be in this country. Never do we want to give it up because, I lost my great grandfather to, fighting the Nazis in Russia. And so much of my family died during communism, where we didn't have any arms to protect ourselves. So yeah, we're very blessed to be in America. It's important to assimilate and honor the country's and the nation's rules and laws. And, I was able to have my American dream here, start a business. But for me, it's not even it's not like it is a business, but for me, it's I'm helping people, and it's the honor of my life to be able to give back to a country that gave me and my family so much, and helping people live a longer and healthier life. And it's just been an honor, and I love America, and I'm so grateful to be living here. And we should really love our neighbors more. And it's only honestly by the grace of God, even the ones that hate us, even the ones that curse us. Our job is not to hate them back, because then you're just as wrong as they are. And I've been there when I was frustrated and I'm mad and I hate these Democrats. And God checked my heart. He said, Anna, you are looking just like them. You're on the same side of darkness if you hate your fellow neighbor. I said, really? Well, but they're evil, Lord. And God said, okay, but you're also evil in my eyes. I'm like, oh, okay, forgive me, Lord. Okay, I love them. I'm praying for them, Lord. Help me pray for my nation more and help me love my neighbors more in Jesus' name. So God is really good. He loves this nation, and it starts with one person. He can save the nation with one person. He's done it in the Bible. And he's doing it again. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with that. You know, so we've got Survivor. We've got the whole medical and poker playing and all this. At what point, what happened in your life to give you that complete 180 degree in the opposite direction? I mean, what was there something in particular that we can talk about, that you can tell us about, that you were like, yes, this is now my direction of course in life?
Yeah, I do remember it clearly. I remember when I got back from filming the show, this was back in 2015. My show aired in February of 2016, but when I got back home in 2015, I one morning woke up, and I know it was God, because there's no other way. It wasn't me. It wasn't natural. It wasn't normal. I didn't realize at the time I was so addicted to the game. And I never thought you can be addicted to poker. I used to say, yeah, no one's addicted, but I really was. That's all I can think about, breathe, do, from morning to night, studying, reading the game, learning the game, watching other videos, training the game, playing tournaments, playing cash games, like all day, 24/7. And that was me. And, I was in a relationship. He was a professional poker player too. We were together for like 5 years, and just playing all the time. And I'm learning from him and watching him play. And, it was all I could do. And one morning after coming back from the show, I just woke up and didn't want to play poker anymore. And I thought it was weird. I'm like, I don't want to play today. And then one day turned into a week, and turned into a month, and turned into 3 months, and turned into 6 months. And my, boyfriend at the time said, well, what's going on with you? You don't want to play? What are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to play anymore. I don't know. And so I ended up being bored on YouTube and going on YouTube and watching random YouTube videos. And I never watched YouTube at the time, and stumbled upon videos of people talking about, I don't want to get you another strike, but like human sacrificing and like the demons. And I was like, what? Like, what do you mean trafficking? There's child trafficking? Like, no way. I'm going to, where I'm going with this. So I'm like, wait, what? How's no one talking about this? Like, what? And hearing testimonies and this and that. And like, and my boyfriend said, well, how are you going to pay how are you going to have a living? I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to play. So he said, just play one game. So I'd open up a tournament, pay $1,000 to play. And all of a sudden, 3 times that happened. And 3 times he watched me. I mean, I just started playing, and I lost from like a straight flush to a royal flush. I lost quads over other quads. I lost straight flush to straight flush. I mean, the most unbelievable hands that like 1 in a billion hands against 1 in a billion hands. So it was just God's way of saying, nope, you're done playing. And so I didn't want to play. And every time I did, it didn't go well. And I just kept kind of digging into, okay, wait, well, hold on. If the devil's real, that means that God is real. And so, I ended up going to a Survivor appearance, and we were touring different schools and college, high schools and colleges, and even junior high schools, talking to kids about, not drinking, not doing drugs and all that kind of stuff. And using our platform to kind of just give people some hope and warn them, right? And some kids, warn kids. And so during that time, I met with someone who was actually on the show, which I didn't watch, but Naked and Afraid. And he loves Jesus. And he came up to me and said, you've been wondering if God is real, which is true. I said, God, if you're real, show me you're real. If you're not real, okay, great. But if you're real, I want to know you, because I'm starting to think you're real. There's so much evil in the world. People are talking that they're demon encounters. That means that Satan is real. That means God is real. I want to know you, Jesus, because I don't want to go to hell, right? So he told me, you've been searching and God is real, and you had an encounter with God. And I said, no, I never had an encounter with God. He said, yeah, you did. I thought about it. And, I remembered something that happened to me, Bob, when I was 18 in Jerusalem, because my family is half Jewish, and I have my auntie lives with my cousins and my uncle in Israel, on my dad's side. And so we would go visit once in a while. And I had an encounter in Jerusalem at the Western Wall. And it's an amazing testimony. It's on my YouTube channel if you want to see the whole thing. But I was actually blaspheming God, saying, look at these idiots praying to a God who doesn't exist. And God could have struck me with lightning, and I would have deserved to go to hell. And he had such mercy on me. And I didn't see it, but I felt it. It's like the heavens opened on top of me, and I can feel this spirit come down and fill me with the most amazing love and joy and peace. And I remember thinking and knowing that this life is very short, that up is home, that this is not home, this is temporary. And I felt such love from above, and I didn't know it was God. I had no idea it was God, but it was God showing how much he loves humanity, how much he loves us, how much I felt so contented, so satisfied, so loved, so understood. And it was the most amazing day of my life. Again, it's on my YouTube channel if you want to watch the whole thing. It's absolutely incredible. It's very hard to explain in human words what I felt, but I gave my life to Jesus, and the next morning he started talking. He had messages for people, my sister, messages for my family. I had to tell them, and they were like, "How do you know this?" I'm like, "I don't know, but God told me to tell you this." And they're like, "That's crazy. That no one knows this except me," And that would happen continuously. And so from then on, then God said, "I'm going to start showing you my technologies around the world." And I said, "Your technologies?" He goes, "Yeah, what I created, clean water, grounding, all these things that I thought was like kind of like weird and like grounding. Like, what kind of nonsense is that?" No, it's real. So I started looking into and researching. And the one thing that he really honed in on was water, how bad our water is contaminated. And even our animals should not be drinking tap water. People think I'm crazy, but do not give your animals tap water. If you're not going to drink the contaminants, don't give it to your animals. Okay, you might not be drinking it, but if you're showering in it, you're drinking it. Your body's drinking it. So he started showing me, and I started digging and digging and digging into what are these contaminants? What are their side effects? They're carcinogenic and all of that, glyphosate and herbicides and pesticides and THMs and volatile organic compounds, and just started, having a biology medical background, reading it and looking through it and saying, okay, Lord, well, how do we get it out of the water? How do we get away from this? And so he started showing me some companies to research. And the more I was researching, a lot of the stuff out there, all these filters, a lot of it is really subpar. They're not really good. No one talks, especially with city water. Let's start with city. City, you have pharmaceuticals. You also have herbicides, pesticides in the water. You got chlorine, you got fluoride. You got, you have volatile organic compounds. You have all these things in the water. You just had a baby, and, maybe you have like a shower filter, but you're giving your baby a bath in water that has fluoride in it. Well, fluoride is a neurotoxin, and you're giving your baby a bath while they're a baby and they're developing. It's a developmental neurotoxin. So, and I know your audience is well aware of it. Then the question is, okay, what's a solution? How do we fix this problem? Because we know we have a problem. What is the best kind of solution? So I'm very blessed because he started showing me companies around the world, and I started, meeting the owners and seeing their manufacturing and really doing quality control. And we order a lot of stock from each company, whether it be the air filtration. We have air filtration that's in the best hospitals in the world. It's not just a filter, it's a purifier sanitizer. It sanitizes constantly. It releases hydrogen peroxide into the atmosphere. We have a system you can put on your laundry machine, your washing machine, and never use chemicals again. You don't need detergent. You don't need chemicals. You can actually activate every water molecule. It'll clean better than detergent. And it's so clean. So there's, and we order a lot of stock, so we're able to give everyone discounts on it as well, which is really great.
Well, let's talk about that. But before we do it, of course, let's ask you about how often that you have to fight the other side, that evil side, because it appears that our comments are flooded with individuals like this.
Yeah.
Which we already banned one tonight, but Tony, thanks for joining us. Except for that, you are in the wrong place, my friend, to be talking like that. And I'm going to give you, I'm going to talk to you directly right now, just for the simple fact that I give you props. You had the guts to come on in here and say this. I voted for Trump. I did. Do I think that Trump is the second coming of Christ? Not even close. Not even close. But here is what I do know, Tony. I know that the alternative was ridiculous. It would have ended with us all being completely upside down, even worse than what we are currently today. So call it what you may, lesser of two evils, what it is. But at the end of the day, impeach Trump. Go ahead and ban him, Russ. We don't need all that kind of stuff on this show.
Well,
go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't mean to interrupt you. I would jump in and say, Tony, you are welcome here. You are welcome to listen and hear different perspective. And look, I was apolitical. I didn't know. I'm thankful that having seen and having grown up, the repercussions of communism and socialism, it's a real thing. It's one thing as a theory, another thing, in real life. I mean, look at Iran, look at what's happening in Venezuela. I mean, people are so thankful to be free. And of course, there's still a lot of work to do there. But we welcome you, Tony. You're welcome to be here. God bless you. We love you. We hope that you're open-minded. As we are, we're very open-minded. And of course, there's a lot of scammers and all that and spammers and all that. And it's okay. You're welcome to be here. We're not kicking anyone out. We don't kick anyone out of my church. When people come in with different hair colors, you're welcome to come in. Please come on in and listen. If they get rowdy, we might say, okay, well, maybe we can talk right after the service. We would happy to sit down and talk to you. We don't kick anyone out. Everyone is welcome here. But and I know that's, but yeah, I know that's what you mean.
For me, we got this guy here, Charlie Kirk had it coming. Here's the thing I got to say, guys, is that I don't think anyone should be losing their life. Charlie
Absolutely.
Kirk, the individual, the woman that was hit by ice, she shouldn't have. Human life, period, is precious. It is precious. And so when I see stuff like that says, Charlie Kirk had it coming to him, no one should be having it coming to him. And that's what we need to focus on here, is that life is precious. There's only so much time that we have on this earth, and we should use it to glorify the Lord and to live right and to help people.
Yeah. And I have to say, when I see a comment like that, years ago, I get mad and frustrated. I have such pity for them, because imagine what has to be going on in your heart and in your own soul to be so happy to see someone die and be so mad and angry and offended and bitter. That means they're full of bitterness. They're full of unforgiveness. What a terrible life to be living. I mean, it's a miserable life to be happy that people are suffering. I mean, and you need to check your heart, because look, tomorrow's not promised. God showed me hell. He showed me hell and he showed me heaven. It's a real place. And you think I'm crazy? That's fine. At the end of your life, you will stand in front of Jesus, whether you like it or not. And he's going to show you how much he loved you and how much he loves you still, and how much he had a different plan for you. And if you only opened up your heart just for a second, he would have changed your whole life. It doesn't have to be miserable. It can be joyful. It can be exciting. It can be awesome. You can have sympathy for people that are struggling. You can have sympathy for people that you disagree with and not want them killed. So for me, when I see a comment like that, I feel bad for them. I pray for them. I'm like, Lord, Father, touch them in Jesus' name. Lord, show them the reality of hell, because it's real. And I got to tell you, Charlie Kirk is very much in heaven. And I pray that you one day, sir, will get to meet him up there, whoever is saying those comments, because Jesus is real and he loves you very much. Just say, Lord, forgive me, Lord. Help me, Jesus. Forgive me my sins. Amen.
That's it. Well, you have plenty of fans and you have plenty that are not fans. But that's okay. It means that you're actually doing something correct. If you don't have anybody butting heads with you, you're probably on the wrong path.
That's right.
That's what I've got to say. So
I don't think, you know what I have to say? I mean, my pastor taught me this. She said, Anna, don't take it personally when demons attack you. And I'm not saying that person's a demon. I'm talking about the demons inside that person. It's not personal. The devil hates Jesus, period. He hates God. And if you have God inside of you, he's going to attack you from all directions. And I've learned not to take it personally, because when they're attacking me, it's not me. They're actually attacking God in me. It's a spiritual attack, not a personal attack. And when you learn to guard your heart, the Bible says, guard your heart. Proverbs, I think 23:4 says, guard your heart with all diligence, because all of the issues of life come out of your heart. It's true. Guard your heart. Don't take it personally. Pray for them. The Bible, Jesus said, bless your enemies, forgive them, and pray for those that curse you and despitefully use you, and keep moving. And
that's it.
That's it.
That's it. Christy said, the feeds are weird tonight. There's no doubt. It happens.
Yeah, I shared it on my channel, so that's why. There's a lot of haters. That's okay. We love it.
It's all right.
That's okay.
We'll take it. I'll if any of you guys out there or gals that are jumping in these comments with some of these crude comments, how about bring us a legitimate question? Let's have some of that. Like you want to bring an actual legitimate question to this conversation, like by all means jump in here, but let's, Charlie Kirk's leaking that. Come on, man. Like that's where you're going is stooping to those level. Get in here and ask some questions that actually have some legitimacy. That's what I want to see. Let's talk about some of this craziness that goes on in the world. Project Veritas. I mean, what was that like for a year?
Oh, that was an incredible experience. I had some mutual friends at the time back in 2016 and 2017 who introduced me to James O'Keefe. And I met James. We had dinner with a bunch of friends, and he was there, and I was talking about communism. I was mostly just listening because the table was full of people who were behind. If it wasn't for those people at the table, President Trump would not be in office. I'll just say that. I mean, they were really rallying and helping him behind the scenes. Anyway, social media and everything. And so James was there, and I was just listening to all of them, and I got to share a little bit about communism and socialism and all that. And he reached out to me the next day. He said, "Well, what do you think about coming to work for us and going undercover and hitting up some communist organizations?" And I said, "I would love to. I'm a big fan of your work. It would be an honor." So I ended up infiltrating, speaking of communists, a bunch of democratic organizations. And I also was able to infiltrate Democratic Socialist of America, which is very much a communist organization. I was in meetings, and they were, they're open Stalinist, Trotskyist, Leninist, communist. So it was actually a pretty easy job, Bob, because I didn't have to do my hair, didn't have to do my makeup. I had a t-shirt on. I didn't even wear deodorant, didn't brush my teeth to fit in, and still kind of stuck out like a sore thumb. Oh no, I did brush my teeth, but no, but I kind of fit in, not really. But I was able to, we were targeting and trying to find out, who are in the government, like in the Department of State or in the IRS, anyone that is in the communist organizations. We were able to find a few people from the government that were actually admitting to me on camera that they were doing communist work while they're getting paid by our tax dollars, which actually breaks the Hatch Act. Some of them were fired from the Department of State with some of my investigations I was doing, by God's grace, of course. But yeah, I was just, trying to find out. One of my really good friends infiltrated Antifa, Portland Antifa. And actually what I heard from him really led me to have a lot of compassion for the people there, because I have to tell you, having been in Democratic Socialists of America, a lot of these kids are in high school, college. They're young. A lot of them, I got to say, the majority don't have purple hair. The majority don't have green hair. They're just kids who got invited by a friend, and they're sitting there, and they want to have like a little family, and they're listening, and it's a bunch of garbage nonsense that they're listening to, and they're there, and they mean well, and they want to help the country, but they just don't realize they're being brainwashed into something that does not work, and it's demonic. So I remember thinking, sitting in a meeting, I'm like, that girl, she could be me. I could be sitting there from an invitation from a friend. It could have been me. So my compassion really grew, and I realized these aren't my enemies. These people are so brainwashed, and they need help. They need prayer, and they need a little friend to get them out of there. I couldn't break cover, so I wasn't able to tell them how I really feel. But my friend infiltrated Portland Antifa, and I said, "What was that like?" He goes, "Anna, these are young men. A lot of them, they don't have a father. They never grew up with a father. They were abused as kids. They had a terrible upbringing. It's kind of like a gang, when your dad is in prison, and you join a little family, and it turns out to be a gang. And next thing you know, you have a gun in your hand, and you're doing crimes because you want to fit in with your family, your gang family. Same thing here. And so my compassion my heart changed when I went undercover. I came in with the mentality, these are my enemies, and I'm going to expose them, and I'm going to make some of these people very famous. That was my mentality. But my mentality coming out of it changed, and I realized, okay, these are people. They don't know better, but some of them know better. There's very few you can pinpoint. You can smell it from a mile away. There were some radicals there. When I was in the communist organization, there were a few radicals you can sense when they walk in the room. The atmosphere changed. All of a sudden, the atmosphere is cold, and it's creepy.
Well, they were the ones that were being paid. They were those paid radicals that jumped from one riot to another.
I've
No,
seen
I
that too.
agree with you. I agree with what you're saying. And here's the sad part is that where we're at today, there's no doubt that the government has used children. I mean, that's what communism is, right? You infiltrate the schools and you brainwash children. And I mean, right now, I feel like we're a generation away from just complete collapse between AI and the school systems. And well, I mean, welfare ties right into this, federal assistance. This was all used to control and break up the family in order to, and that's how we ended up with these kids without a father, these men without fathers, these daughters without fathers.
Yeah.
And of course, yeah, they're looking for anyone or anything that they can feel that they're a part of.
Right. And it's also created to also put so much burden on the federal government that it collapses. The whole point is to collapse the nation. And it's obviously a demonic agenda. It's pure evil. That's right, Patrick. It is pure evil. And it has infiltrated at every facet of society. And this is something that a very famous communist, Antonio Gramsci, said, who actually was thrown into prison by Mussolini in Italy. He's a very famous Italian communist, but he said the way to really push communism is different than Lenin. Where Lenin, he had a violent revolution and then he re-educated people. He said, no. We don't need to do a violent revolution. We infiltrate and brainwash them first and interject our ideology into every facet of society. And then they will demand a violent revolution. And that's what we're seeing in this nation, unfortunately, because we've been so infiltrated. We've been taught. I mean, coming from Russia, when I was in public school, we talked about communism. We talked about how evil it was in public schools. That's not being taught anymore. How come we're not taught about the evils and perils of communism and socialism? But we're coming against America all the time. I mean, it's infiltrated. We know that it is. That's why it starts first with the home. It starts first with parents waking up, not just to what's happening politically, but also to wake up spiritually. You have to take authority over your house in Jesus' name. You have to really read the Bible, have God give you wisdom of how to tell your children in love. Some children are in college. Okay. Well, you can't force them to believe in anything, but you can pray for them. Lord, have an encounter with them, because when you take authority of your own family, that's where it starts. And that's why, as horrible it was for our friend Charlie Kirk to be assassinated, he led a lot of people to Jesus, even in his death as a martyr. So many people were listening to his messages. So many people were hearing about Jesus. And of course, what the devil plans for evil, Romans 8:28, God uses for good. So as bad as it was, it woke up an entire generation and people around the world. I mean, he impacted hundreds of millions of people around the world. I can't even imagine. I would assume tens of millions received Jesus. So it doesn't stop there. You can't just, believe in Jesus. Okay, and not read the Bible. You have to know the Bible yourself. The living word is real. I don't mean to be preachy and I don't mean to sound religious, but I'm telling you, the Bible changed my life. God changed my life. And again, he, during COVID, when everyone was losing their job, God gave me a God business that helped people. And, the business went up and helping people was number one. I mean, we have testimonies still. People call me all the time. Anna, thank you for, our water filter. My hair's feeling better. My skin is feeling better. My son had really bad eczema on his neck, gone. We have people that have cancer free because of our technologies. Would not mind. It's all his technology. So it's an honor to help people and pray for people, and because it's really going to be a spiritual revival that will bring back the heart of this nation, which, like you're saying, President Trump, I love him. He's not my Messiah. He's not Jesus. Okay. He's not perfect. No. I'm not perfect. Jesus is perfect.
None of us are.
That's right. And so God chose him to help this nation.
We'll flip a couple comments here. We had this Dance 9291, and look, I'll throw it up here. It says, do you pray for the people of Greenland whose country is being threatened by the U.S.? Absolutely. We should be praying for everybody.
Well, I want to say there. Oh, wait, if you can go back there, no one's threatening Greenland. No one's threatening Greenland.
No, I mean,
and I have to tell you, look, when America bought Florida, or when America bought Alaska, I think it was for like 5 or 6 million. People thought we were crazy, But guess what? We bought Alaska, and within a few years, we found oil and all the natural resources underground. People are afraid of expansionism in this day and age. This is not like we're an empire and we want to take over the world. No, America is offering, hey, we can buy you, we can help you, and we can expand America. I don't have anything wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and and he said, of course, again, invade. That pretty much so the same question.
Well,
This one here,
if I can answer,
why
sorry.
have the well, why have the Epstein files been released considering Trump is all over him? Look, I'm going to agree with you. I want to see him. I would love to see him. I want to see every single bit of it. Who knows why? I can't tell you. Do I agree with this, that it hasn't been released when they were supposed to be? Absolutely. We actually agree on something right here. Dance.
Yeah, me too. I agree with the Epstein files. Release all of it, unredacted. 100% agree. But I want to say about invading. Who did we invade? What independent country did we? We didn't invade anybody. If you're talking about a mission that happened over a few hours, that's different. So maybe you want to look up what invasion is and what an operation is, because that's two different things. Venezuelan people have been praying for God, for intervention from God, and he did. He used President Trump to get rid of Maduro, and thank God he did. And actually, what the Lord also was telling, my pastors are very prophetic, and what the Lord was saying is that they were planning World War III, which we know they were planning World War III. And one of the vehicles they were using was Venezuela. And Venezuela is in our Western hemisphere, and that is very dangerous. So actually, what President Trump did, of course, it's great to help the Venezuelan people, but it was actually America first. It was actually protecting our America. That includes you, who's living in this country, sir, from World War III. And being used
absolutely
as a playground for Russia, China, and the cartel in Cuba and Iran to run buck wild and steal, not steal Venezuela's oil, but use Venezuela's oil, which really, we built a lot of those oil tankers there. So
I'll add to that. First and foremost, I pray for this country, and when it comes down to it, where I reside in this country, this is priority number one. So when you ask, do I really care? I'm gonna be completely honest. I really don't care what's going on outside of this country. I don't. What's right here in front of me, this is my focus. What's affecting my family and myself, that's my focus. That is just clean up your own doorstep. Priority number one. What is the priority of a family? As a husband, you are the covering of the family, the wife, and the children. God has structured the same thing when we talk about the church. God is the covering over his people, the church. We're supposed to be doing the same thing. It's the trickle effect. It goes right down the way. So when you guys are all out here talking about, what about this country? What about that country? I don't know what the whole deal is with Venezuela. All right. Redistribution of wealth. I don't know. I know billions of gallons of oil were taken. Gas prices are still the same. I can't tell you why they're still the same. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I'm concerned with America and American citizens. That's number one.
Yeah. And that's why President Trump did what he did in Venezuela. It was actually for America. The oil is just a bonus and a cherry on top. Just say that. God bless you, Pete.
Mr. Pete Robertucci, he will be with us. Let's switch gears. We can just go for hours and hours and hours when it comes to this type of stuff here.
True. Love it.
So we're right back to it. You've lived just multiple lifetimes, it appears, and you start Healthy Technologies, the company, and so that's you've started that, and you start pushing products to help people, especially with water. That's one of your main topics and focuses in the company. You have a ton of products, ton of great products, but the water thing, let's talk about Healthy Technologies and how that came to pass. And let's talk about some of those products that you guys carry. Yeah.
And I don't even call it products. I call them solutions. We have a lot of solutions for people. There's a lot of problems out there. Some people may or may not be aware. I wasn't aware for a long time. I know your audience is very aware, but we have solutions. And how we started back in 2021, and it wasn't even like, okay, well, how do we sell a product? It was COVID during that time, right? So how do we help people not do the, because we're on YouTube, but do it naturally, have a healthier environment for your family. Obviously it's in the water too, and it's in the air. So we were, I was told by a pastor friend of mine in Florida, and he said, Pastor Rodney Howard Brown, he said, you need to get this air filter for your home. It's not just a filter, it's also a sanitizer. It releases hydrogen peroxide, it sanitizes the environment. A friend of mine in the military told me about it and called me and said, Pastor, you need to put these all in your church. Something's coming. And this was back in beginning of December of 2020. This was right before COVID. 2019, right before COVID outbroke in, February. So he put it all in his church. No one in his church got sick. They actually, even under Ron DeSantis at the time, Governor DeSantis, he was thrown in prison because he refused to close his church because he had air filters going and sanitizing everything. And Ron DeSantis said, no, we're not throwing pastors into church. So Governor DeSantis actually opened up the whole state because of my pastor. My pastor, he's like a mentor to me. He's a dear friend of mine. And after he was thrown in prison, he said, you need to put these in your home too. So I did. And no one in my home got sick. It was really helping us. And it was a blessing. And I started telling people about it. And my pastor said, well, why don't you do it as a business? You should start buying these and selling them. And you're good at telling everyone, why don't you turn to like a business? And I was like, I don't really want to have a business. I don't know how to do that. So, but it wasn't a plan. It just happened that way. So little by little, we started helping schools get it into their, to protect the kids. And, then people started referring me and hospitals and schools and people and medical offices and veterinarian places. And so we started with the air filtration. And again, this filtration's in the best hospitals in the world, like the Cleveland Clinic. They have seen a huge decrease in infections in their operating rooms because they have 2 systems in each operating room. They have 100 units in 50 operating rooms, and they're actually about to release a clinical trial. But started from there. But then I thought, okay, and I started playing, Lord, well, we need a really good water filter. And there's a lot out there, and there's a lot of options, and what is good and what is not. So it took me about 9 months, Bob, to really research every single company and come down to one that I 100% love and stand behind. I actually have Dr. Judy Mikovich endorses it. Dr. Sherry Tenpenny backs it, and they don't back anything unless you have data, reports, before and after, and all of it. They're very picky. And I said, Dr. Judy, what do you think about this? Because I think this is it. Be honest with me. And I showed it to her, and I showed it to Dr. Ten and all these amazing doctors. And they all said, this is excellent. Where did you find this? And so it's a family-owned company. We get rid of not just, the chlorine, but the fluoride, heavy metals, glyphosates, pesticides, herbicides, heavy metals, pharmaceuticals. We get rid of things like ibuprofen from the water. We get rid of caffeine, progesterone.
Let me jump in there. A lot of people don't understand this, especially on city water. But that stuff is being refined and recycled. That city water, the sewage, all right, is going through a refinery. But these refineries are not pulling out all of these hormones. For instance, women who are using birth control, or men who are using testosterone injections, or all these type of things that is going into the water. Large amounts of these are not being pulled out. And so when you ingest water from the city, and I seen somebody over here in the comments, they said, water is just water. No, I'm going to have to beg to differ with you because that's yeah, it used to be many, many moons ago.
Now it's water.
It is no longer.
Exactly. So, no, you got it right. Yeah.
So this water filter that you're using, let's talk about this, because this thing, help me out on the name of the water purification system again.
Well, actually, if it's okay, I will share my screen. Is it okay? I think
absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
So this is our website, healthytext.com. Can you see it? Is it?
I can. Here we go.
Okay, there you go.
Well,
there you go. Okay,
there we go.
This is our website, healthytext.com. You go down, you click on it. You'll see all this information about the water filter. Now, the difference between, I don't want to throw other companies under the bus, but there's 3 main things you want to know when it comes to, actually 4 main things you want to ask when you're doing your research on a water filter. If you actually can bring it back to me for 1 sec, and then we'll share the screen again. 4 main things you need to ask. Number 1, when you're doing research on a water filter, this is what you ask the company. This is why it took me 9 months to find a company that actually was able to answer all 4, because none of them do. The first one is, what are your filters made of? What are your filters made of? What are the stages? Tell me about it. Most companies, you'll call them. I mean, you name it. I can name them right now. I don't want to disparage any company, but you'll see what happens when you call them and ask them that. They'll say, "Oh, I'm sorry, that's proprietary. We can't tell you what the filters are made of."
Of
That's a
course.
bunch of nonsense. Maybe one little blend can be proprietary, but not everything. And so what you can actually ask them, and usually what it is, it's usually a very basic carbon filter resin. Usually that's what it is, which gets rid of chlorine, bad odor, bad taste. They usually have a KDI 55 filter. That's for heavy metals. Okay, that's good. Okay, but second question, what do you remove and what do you not remove? Usually they will say, well, yeah, we have a little list on the website, chlorine, bad odor, bad taste, heavy metals. Okay, but what's the percentage of removal? Oh, I'm sorry, we don't have that information, which leads me to number 3. Do you have any independent lab testing results showing me a comprehensive view of every contaminant you remove and the percentage of removal? Most companies are going to say no. If you can share the screen again, I want to show you something.
Yes.
This company that we found, not only do they are transparent on everything we remove: fluoride, chlorine, bacteria, bad odor, bad taste, chloramines, chloroform, herbicides, pharmaceuticals, hormones, heavy metals, arsenic, you name it, forever chemicals. Okay, glyphosate, right? Roundup. They also tell you exactly what the filters are made of. There's one little blend that's proprietary, and I'll tell you what's included while this is loading. One of the proprietary blends is they have silver in there, but it's an age-stage
There we
system.
have it. That's for you, Patrick Seven. We're going to talk about silver before the night is out.
That's right. And so you have you have 8 stages here. There's no electricity needed. This is strictly water pressure. So whether you have a well, it's well pump, a well, you're pumping pressure from a pump. If you're a city, your city water pressure. So God forbid there's an emergency, you will have access to filtered water, which is why this is perfect for preppers, which is why I'm here with Mountain Readiness, because this is a really way to be ready for God forbid an emergency. Stores are closed, grocery stores are closed. You have access to filtered water right in your home. But it's an age-stage system. This company tells you exactly what it's made of. And if you go here, you'll click here for a 6-page comprehensive independent lab test results with a complete list of all contaminants removed. Click here. So you click here. While this is loading as well, you'll see a 6-page report and you can see everything it removes. And I highly recommend everyone go through it. Right? You have dichloromethanes, chloromethane. You'll see the amount of reduction: 98.9, 97.0, 99.3, 98.99. Just keep going. You'll go through the volatile organic compounds. You'll go through heavy metals. You'll go through pesticides. You'll go through, I know I'm going fast here, more pesticides, semi-volatile organic compounds. You can go to, herbicides, disinfectants, chloramines, free chlorine, nitrates, right? Pharmaceutical drugs. Look at this. You have acetaminophen, you have caffeine, right? You have trimethoprim, you have progesterone, right? Ibuprofen, naproxene, sodium. So you have all of the, and look, 97.5 removal, 98, 99, 97. So this is the only company I found to be very transparent. I actually ended up going to their headquarters. You can bring us back if you want, but I went to their headquarters in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, met the owners. It's family owned. They are excellent. They're always updating their technology. And again, I showed this to Dr. Judy Mikovits. I know you were having an event that we're going to be together with Barbara O'Neill. I haven't met her. I don't know her.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you've heard about her stuff, but I'm excited to meet her because she is such a force of nature, and I'm excited to be at that event, Sovereign Health.
Yes.
We'll see you guys all there if you haven't.
Let's talk about that really quick because number one, the guys get on there, click, scan that link, guys. You can use MR10. You get 10% off anything on the website, anything. But what's great about this water filter that we also talked about is that not only does it not need power, all right, you just need water flow. I believe you were talking about the filter in this thing is like up to 5 years that you can get out of this filter.
Well, actually, here's the cool thing. You can actually get 30 years out of this filter. And the reason is because normally, and that was, by the way, the 4th question I forgot to, thank you for reminding me. 4th question you want to ask when you're doing research on a water filter for you and your family. The 4th question you want to ask them is, how often do I replace the filters and maintenance, and how much does it cost? Because most water filter companies, they're inexpensive when you purchase it. They might be $1,000 or maybe $2,000 upfront, but then you have to constantly change the filter every year. And most water filter companies make money on the replacements, not when you first buy it, but on the replacements that they get you hooked on. Right. So with this system, without anything, the water filter the filter inside will last for 5 to 6 years. So before you need to replace it, 6 years. Okay. But there's a non-toxic green solution that we introduced as well a few years ago, where you pour it down the system, you let it sit there for about an hour. It will regenerate the media back to like new conditions. And you can do that on the system about 5 times we recommend before you replace it. So 6 times 5 times you can do it for 6 years. That's 30 years before we recommend changing your whole thing completely. So
we're back flushing this thing out, and
we're
then
back
we're ready to
flushing
go
it
for
once
another
a
5
year.
to 6.
Well, actually, you back flush once a year. And then you're supposed to change the filter every 5 to 6 years, but you don't need to change it. You can do a solution, which is kind of like a back flush too. You let it sit in the system, regenerate it back to like new. You do a flush on it, and you're done. And you can do it 5 times. So
it's amazing.
And it gets rid of glyphosate and pharmaceuticals and heavy metals. So it's a more effective filter, and it will last you longer.
Awesome. Well, and guys, and here's the great part is not only is Anna here tonight, but she's going to be with us in May for Mountain Readiness Spring Expo. She's going to be joining us and going to be teaching on water filtration. She's going to actually show you this system. She's going to talk about all the different options that you can use for this. I believe you said you're coming to Montana with us as well.
I do. I plan on being there, and I plan to educate everyone on well water, on city water. I'm going to educate you what is in the water, how do you test it, and then what are your options for solutions.
Great. Problem and solution. That's the best part. We get best of both worlds. And then, of course, guys, the Sovereign Health Summit, we will all be there. Anna will be there with Healthy Technologies. We'll have Jeff Adams, Mycronic Silver. There we go, Patrick. We said silver again, once again in this podcast. We'll probably catch us one. A strike tonight, but that's okay. It's been a good conversation.
No, in Jesus'
name,
you
guys,
won't.
make sure to. What's that?
I said, in Jesus' name, you won't get a strike. And actually, Jeff Adams is a dear friend of ours as well.
He is awesome. Yeah, Jeff is going to jump back on with me here in another couple weeks. We're going to talk about some of the products that I've been using. And I'm going to tell you guys, I'm still standing strong on this stuff.
His stuff is amazing.
That nasal spray is a game changer.
Yeah.
Game changer, hands down. And I started feeling bad. I used it. All of a sudden, the next day, I'm good to go again. But
yeah, I've been using his Sonic Mist for years. It burns a little bit at first, you guys, but it cleans everything out. It's actually one of my favorite products. My new favorite product that he has is the toothpaste. It's not it's not even a toothpaste. It's a tooth spray. So especially if you're like me, you travel a lot and you're in a hotel and you don't want to use the fluoride water, it's a spray that starts to foam up in your mouth. You don't need the fluoride water. You just take your toothbrush and you brush your teeth. There's ozone in there. There's Mycronic Silver in there. There's like peppermint in there, and it's so fresh and clean. And it's the coolest thing that your toothpaste is now a tooth spray. It's kind of, it's amazing.
I have some coming. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to try this stuff out. What do you want to leave everyone with tonight, Anna?
Well, I would love to leave everyone with a blessing. I would love to leave everyone with hope and encouragement and say that God is really good. You know, we're living in a very dark world, and unfortunately it's getting crazier. Murder is just becoming so normal, people dying left and right, and it's just so normalized. And unfortunately, you know, that's what the Bible says, it's going to get worse. So, absolutely. But here's the cool thing is that we have hope and we have truth with us, behind us, in us, if you know Jesus, right? If you don't know Jesus, you just say, Lord, come into my heart. I want to know you. Or for me, I said, if you're real, Jesus, show me. And he did. He changed my life completely. I mean, I was on a trajectory where I was depressed and broken and lost. And yeah, I was on TV and all this stuff, but I was so broken inside. And I'm so thankful that I could be full and holy by his grace, and so contented and so whole in him. So I leave you with an encouragement of God is really good no matter your circumstance. Just say, God, help me, Jesus, come into my circumstance. Help me, Lord. Help my family. Help this nation. Forgive your enemies. Love your enemies, forgive them, pray for them. I'm telling you, that unlocked everything in my life was when I forgave people who deeply betrayed me. When I forgave them, it wasn't for them, it was for me. So freed me, and God can use me, and God wants to use you, and wants to, of course, Bob, he's using you, and he's going to continue to use you, mighty man of God, and your beautiful wife, but also everyone listening. He wants to use you and your families as well. And even if your family is broken apart because of politics or whatever, God can put miracles. He can do miracles. He put things together that never seem like they can come together again. But God is good. I've seen it in my own family. So if it's and I can sense it. There's some people watching, you have like broken families because of this whole, since 2016, since really Trump, a big divide in the family and a big tension, like you're a reunion with your family and there's tension in the air. I encourage you just to come up to them, whether it be cousin or whoever it is, or your sister's husband or whoever, or boyfriend, just come up and say, I just want to say, brother, God bless you. I just want to say, I love you. And I'm thankful you're a part of the family. And I love you very much. And whatever differences we have, I just want you to know, it doesn't matter. What matters is you and me and God and loving each other. So please forgive me if I ever offended you for anything. And I forgive you too. And God bless you. That little simple text, that little simple interaction will change your life, will change their life. And I'm telling you, God will do miracles. He will convict that person. And that person will think, maybe this person isn't so bad. Maybe I do want to have a relationship with them again. So I've learned to humble myself and ask for forgiveness, even if I'm not wrong. Because if I'm mad at them, I'm actually also wrong in God's eyes. So forgive people, bless them, reconcile with them as much as you can. The Bible says peace with all men, with God number one, and with all men. And God is good. He'll bless you and your family if you're blessing others that hate you, especially. Amen.
Amen to that. I really appreciate you coming on tonight, Anna. It's been a pleasure. We'll have to do it again. I'm really looking forward to meeting you in May. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It was an honor and a pleasure, everyone. Blessings.
Guys, at the end of the day, right here, doesn't matter what we do.
That's right.
Prophecy is going to be fulfilled. So live your life the best that you possibly can and help one another, build community, come to our events, go to anywhere, assemble and learn from one another. That's what we're meant to do. Tarry until he comes. So you guys know the routine. Stay safe, stay ready. We'll see you next Monday. Roll us out, Russ.
Yeah. And you want to be